with well over 100 people. We are preventing people from dying.
They are absolutely at risk.
We didn't know who we were bringing on board and sitting on the deck of that cutter.
Some of these migrants have criminal histories. It's not just a dangerous journey, it's a dangerous journey that could also land you in jail if you're caught.
As the immigration debate continues in the U.S., attempts at illegal immigration continues along U.S. borders and shores. Here on the waters off of Puerto Rico, the U.S. Coast Guard tackles a demanding mission, keeping illegal migrants and sometimes dangerous individuals out of the country. Anything can happen on these 1.3 million square miles of sea patrolled by the U.S. Coast Guard Sector San Juan, the so-called back door to the United States, a hotspot for migrant activity and a haven for divers and tourists. These waters can be dangerous for anyone who ventures out, keeping members of the U.S. Coast Guard busy around the clock.
Roger,
Roger, India Tech 2, parallel search pattern, center position is as follows, 18 Tech 3, 6.
For 6 days, they searched.
This diver was lost Saturday afternoon, about 1700, so he's pretty much been in the water for almost 48 hours now.
Day and night.
So there's a C-130, a Hercules up right now, assisting us, and there's another 110 patrol boat out here.
Hour after hour.
Keep optimistic and keep our eyes out. Hopefully we can find him.
But even trained mariners and vigilant pilots were no match for fate or the unforgiving waters of the Mona Passage. Waters that officials believe ultimately became the grave of 36-year-old Alfonso Santana Rivera, a Puerto Rican diver.
It is one of the most difficult tasks because we have to keep in touch with the family. We want to keep them appraised of our search efforts. But the hardest part is advising them when we've reached the point where it's no longer feasible for us to search.
His body was never found. Alfonso Rivera isn't the only one to have lost his life near the waters of the Mona Passage. These seas between the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico are a route of choice for many alien migrants who risk it all for a chance to enter the United States.
Most of the migrants that we interdict are of Dominican Republic nationality, but we also interdict Haitians, and as you can see from the picture where Haiti and Dominican Republic lie, but we also interdict Cubans, Polish migrants, Ecuadorians, Bolivians. They are able to enter into Dominican Republic, whether it's through Haiti or directly through the Dominican Republic via plane or by boat, and then they make the transit across. And if you compare the transit between Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico to Cuba and the United States, it is much shorter. It is a much, much shorter distance.
But hardly a safe one. Just imagine an across-the-sea journey on one of these makeshift boats, known as a Yola.
We have seen 35-foot vessels with well over 100 people on board. And when they're loaded to that extent, they become very top-heavy and unstable, especially rough seas.
These folks are not mariners. They're not boat drivers by any means. They're not navigators. They're typically in a wooden boat that they've handmade.
Put over all light. Yankees all light for now. Towards the
They are absolutely at risk, and we don't know what we don't know in terms of Yolas that did not make it here, that basically vanished in the Mona Pass, or perhaps were disabled and moved north and west of the Mona Pass with the trade winds and prevailing currents.
Stand by to assist. We have migrants in the water.
I look at every case personally, not only as a law enforcement case and migrant interdiction case, but as a search and rescue case. And I truly, in my heart of hearts, believe we're saving lives doing this.
Case in point, January 2007. The crew of the Coast Guard cutter Chincoteague receives reports of an overturned Yola just 5 miles off the coast of the Dominican Republic.
The boat overturned. They actually had a cell phone. They were in cell phone range, but the cell phone call in the Dominican Republic was not reported to the U.S. Coast Guard for 24 hours. And as soon as we found out about it, we had several planes, and my cutter was out searching all night for it. We searched for about 12 hours before we located them. Fortunately, very fortunately, we were able to rescue 23 out of the 24. Only one was lost. She drowned immediately when the Yola overturned. This is the kind of thing that we're trying to prevent. These migrant runners, they're not a small town organization. These are vast networks of smuggling that we're trying to stop, because they overload the Yolas with too many people, and it's just a money venture for these people. They don't care about the lives. We're fortunate that we got this one Yola, but how many go unreported? How many are too far out of cell phone range, don't have any communications, and they sink, and no one ever knows about it, and we don't even know to look for them. And that's why I'm out there. That's why we're out there looking for them, because we're concerned about them.
The mission is a demanding one, dangerous at times.
You have to consider that maybe they're armed, maybe they're trying to get to Puerto Rico because they want to hurt somebody, or they want to cause some sort of damage.
Some of these migrants are incredibly violent, and they have criminal histories in New York, New Jersey.
And dangers aside, there are also the cases that tug at the heart.
I don't think there's anyone that can take this humanitarian mission and see the desperation on some of the folks' face. Although they're doing it illegally and by the wrong means, and we realize that that's why we're out here, to save their life.
There certainly is an emotional impact, especially when new guys come aboard and they see us do one of these cases for the first time. When you see people that obviously, for the most part, are fleeing their country because of economic reasons. Our number one job, our number one mission is to save lives. So that's number one. Get them off of the Yola. There's 50, 60, 100 people in that boat. Get them off, get them aboard safely, get them processed, and then move from there.
Easier said than done.
Take the baby's arm. Take its arm. Just take its arm and pull slowly. That's it.
By the time the Coast Guard arrives to aid and interdict a migrant Yola, those aboard are often in desperate need of the food, blankets, and medical attention offered by the Coast Guard.
Most of the time, they're certainly hungry. They're oftentimes dehydrated. We have seen some cases of severe dehydration that need to be treated. They're overheated. They're often sunburned from having had no shelter for the whole time they've been at sea. They haven't been able to bathe in upwards of several days.
My role is, once we get the call, they'll send a small boat out. I'll be right here up on the front of the boat, and basically as they come, I'm the one searching all of them one by one, making sure they don't have any knives, anything that can harm anybody, and they get out of control, and there's some that we have to restrain them and handcuff them.
That's why the men and women who depart on small boats and make initial contact with the migrants do carry weapons.
This is a dangerous job to start with, as you can well imagine. Just the bringing the folks on board, bringing them from a hazardous boat, loading them onto our small boat, and transferring them at sea, especially in any kind of sea state.
They could easily do something to hurt us, and you just have to remember the worst situations in the back of your head.
Situations like the one Lieutenant John Fiorentine encountered a few years back.
There was a non-compliant Yola, a Yola that refused to stop when given a lawful order to do so. And that was within 5 nautical miles of the western coast of Puerto Rico. And when we got on scene about 2 o'clock in the morning, this Yola was determined to make landfall. There was about 90 migrants on board. And one of the migrants actually produced a weapon and was firing at us.